Now this is where we left off last week. We built these two models here, the front of our reception desk and then the back view of the reception desk here. And we did them in isometric. And today what we're going to do is add some dimensions and maybe a little bit of text and set up the sheet for the isometric views. Hold on just 1 second. Let me just pull this up. And that sheet will be similar to this. So we'll have a floor plan, we'll have a front view, and then we'll have the rear view isometric, and we'll add a couple dimensions. These dimensions here, if you look, they look a little bit wonky, actually. They're coming like in at like a 45-degree angle on these corners, like here and here. So what I want to do is I want to show you a technique, and I'm not sure why Jane did that, but I want to show you the correct way to show those dimensions. So this is our goal for today, to get this sheet. So let's set up the sheet first before we do anything else. So let me just I'm going to put this over on my other screen so I can refer back to it. And we'll start. So I've got my lighting plan over here. And what else? I've got the furniture plan and partitions, base building. And I think I could do the lighting plan, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the furniture plan as a guide to copy off of. So I'm going to copy off of this plan and create a new tab for the isometrics. So I will right click on this tab. You could use any one of the tabs, but I'm going to use the furniture plan. I'm right clicking on the tab and I will click move or copy. And I want to create a copy of this. And I want the copy to be at the end of my stack of tabs here, my layout tabs. So I'm going to click move to end, and then I'll click OK. And there it is. At the very end, I have my furniture plan 2. AutoCAD doesn't know what to call it, so it just calls it furniture plan 2. And I'm going to rename that. So I'll right click on it and rename it. And I'm going to change it to isometrics. All right. And you know what? While I'm at it, I will go in here before I forget. And I'll select that text and call it reception desk isometrics. And you know what? This will be sheet number 5. So let's change that to 5. Oops. Oh, yeah. There we go. And also, we're going to be drawing our isometrics at a larger scale. We're going to draw it at 3/8 of an inch. So while I'm here, I'll just change the scale from 1/8 to 3/8. Okay. Beautiful. So I already have a viewport here and it's locked. I'm going to unlock the viewport and I'm going to pan over and find my isometrics. There they are. And let's change the scale to 3/8 of an inch. If I can find it, there it is. Beautiful. And I'll just pan down. I want a little bit of space down here for the titles. I'm going to put a title on each of these. And this view here, I want to move this down so it's kind of like in line with this, so that they kind of look like they're next together, next to each other. So I think I'm just going to draw a line here just so I can get the bottom of the reception desk, and then I'm going to move this piece down just using the move command here, and I'm going to move this down so it's there. And actually, maybe I'll move it over to the right a little bit just to give some space between them. I just want my drawing to be laid out cleanly and neatly. So that's good. And for now, I'm going to go in and lock my viewport. Okay, and then up here, we'll put the floor plan. So let me go back to model space. Now, what I could do is I could copy, I could do this floor plan and, and rotate the viewport, but I think what I'm going to do, I have an extra chair here. I'm not sure why, so I'm just going to erase that. I'm just going to copy this reception desk over to where my isometrics are. So I've got this lighting here, and I don't want to copy the lighting. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over, find that lighting layer, and I'm going to lock it. If I lock it, I can't do anything with the lighting. And you'll notice that AutoCAD has dimmed it a little bit. It's still there, but if I copy all of this, the lighting's not going to copy with it. So, so I'll go to the copy command here, and I will just grab this whole reception desk, and I'll just pick a base point somewhere, and I'm going to move. Let me turn my ortho off. I'm going to move that whole reception desk to here. And we'll place it exactly in a minute. All right, so I have it at that strange 27-degree angle. I think it's 27 degrees. And let me just... So let me just rotate this, and I'll just pick a point somewhere, and I'm going to go down 27 degrees. Oh, I should have gone negative 27 degrees because AutoCAD always measures angles in a counterclockwise direction. So if I'm rotating this clockwise, I need to use a negative angle. So again, let me rotate, grab this. I'll pick a point over here, and now I'm going to rotate negative 27 degrees. There we go. And while I'm at it, I don't know, I have like some extra hangers here. Clean that up a little bit. While I'm at it, I'm going to just put this all on. No, you know what? I'll leave it. I'll leave it on this layer. On these, I was going to put it all on this this line weight medium layer, but I'm going to leave it. So okay, so let's go back to. Oh, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a guideline here, and then I'm just going to move this so that. So the right edge of this aligns with that. I guess I could have done, maybe it'd be better if I do the left edge. And again, this is just me being super neat and anal, and you should strive for super neat on your drawings. Contractors can read your drawings much easier if they're neat and tidy and organized. So all right, there is, you know what, I am going to change it just because you can't, oh, well, you know what, let's just change the color. So if I can find it. I'm just going to bring it down to a darker color here, just so it's a little more visible. There we go. All right. So let's start by putting in some dimensions. Now I'm double clicking in my viewport here to get into white model space, because that's where we want to do our dimensioning. And I'll go over to my annotate tool or annotate ribbon, and I am going to do linear, and I'm just going to start here. Now again, I am drawing in white model space, and oops, you know what? My dimension is on layer, line weight medium, and I'm going to change it to my dimensions layer. There. And then I'll do a continue. And I'll get some dimensions in this direction. And then we've got this low piece here. This is where our ADA section is. And you know what? I think I might want another string underneath it that will give the contractor the overall of the, and you know, there may be some more dimensions that I want, probably over here, and you know, this over here, but I think for now that's going to be okay. And it looks like, again, for some reason I went on the wrong layer here. Oops. So let me do a match properties and get those on the right layer. Okay. And while I'm here, let me just get onto my dimensions layer. All right. So now let's look at dimensioning this wonky thing over here. So on my annotate, what I'm not going to do a linear dimension. I'm going to do an aligned dimension. If I do a linear dimension in here, so what happens if I dimension like this back here, it's gonna give me a dimension like this, and that's not what I want. That's not accurate at all. So what I want is an aligned dimension here. And now if I'm to dimension this, it's going to come out like that. Now that's on a strange angle there, but and I don't really need this dimension, but I just wanted to show you. So when we're doing our isometrics, I'm going to do align dimensions. So I've got a dimension here for this bottom panel, and then I'll do a continue so that I can identify that reglet or reveal. And then I'm going to do an overall. Good. So let's put these dimensions, let's get them so that they look correct in an isometric form. So there is a command that is called dim edit, dimension edit. And I'm going to just type it. It's a command that I'll just type in, dim edit. And as soon as I enter it, I have a couple options here. They're here, and they're also down here. And one of the option that I'm interested in is oblique. So I'm going to click oblique here. And it's asking me to select the objects. And the objects that I want to select are the dimensions. So I'm going to select, well, I'll select them all. Let's see what happens. All right, I'll just hit enter or my space bar. And now it's asking for the obliquing angle. So what the heck is that? Well, what it's at, I could enter an angle like 30 degrees or 60 degrees, but what it's asking is what do I want to align my extension lines to? So extension lines, if you remember back from your intro class, the extension line is this line here, this horizontal line in this case, that is that goes from the object we're dimensioning to our actual dimension, the dimension line. So what we want to do is align this. I'm going to align this with either this, I want it to be parallel with either this back line here or this line back here. So let's just see. I don't know which one I'm going to do. So I'm going to line it with this angled line here that represents the back of my closet here. So I'll start here for the first point, and then I'll turn my ortho off here just so you can see. And then I'll just select this angle, this end point here. And there it has changed my dimensions so that they are aligning with that line back there. The extension line of the dimension is aligning with the back surface of there, and that is properly drawn dimension for an isometric. Now let me just undo that. I'm just going to hit Control Z a couple of times. There it is. So let me do it again, but this time I'm going to choose this line, and let's just see how it looks and which looks better. So again, the command is dim edit, D-I-M-E-D-I-T, and I'll just hit my space bar or enter, and then choose oblique. And then I'll choose a dimension, and now it's asking for the obliquing angle here. So instead of this one here, I'm going to choose this one. So I'll start here and then go to there, and now it's put that dimension in that direction. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think both look okay. Let me see. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but let's see what happens if I do match properties. So if I choose that dimension, and then no, it's not cooperating with me with that. So what I will need to do is, again, I'll go to dim edit, choose oblique, choose the dimensions I want to edit, and then choose that obliquing angle, and I'll choose the same one here. And now they've all lined up nicely. So let's look at, I don't know, one or two more here. We've got this one here, so we're going to want to identify the width of this panel here.
Also, do you care which direction we do it, the first one or the
No,
second? Okay.
no, I don't.
Just
No.
so it's at the angle. Okay.
Yeah, you just need to use your professional eye. So I'm gonna again, I'm gonna choose an aligned dimension here, and I'm gonna go from here to here. And there's 3 feet, and then I want to make sure that the contractor knows this is a 1 foot reglet or 1 foot gap here. So I'll just hit continue and get that dimension there. And then we will choose dim, or not choose, but type in dim edit, oblique, choose the dimensions, and now I can decide, do I want it kind of underneath, or do I want it like laying on the floor? And I think I'm going to choose lying on the floor. So I need to get these aligned in that angle. So I've got this line here, so I'll just use this. And there it is. And I can, adjust this if I need to. So beautiful, good. I've got some dimensions here. I've got that lined up. You know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up a little bit, just so I have room here to get a title of each of the. I want a title for each one of these drawings. So let's plop that in right now. So I'm going to go back into Paperspace. There are very few things that we put in Paperspace. One of them is rev clouds, revision clouds, and another one is titles for details. And you know what? I shouldn't, and that's not even a hard and fast rule, because depending on where you work, sometimes they put the titles right here in model space. But we're not going to. We're going to put them here on Paperspace. So there's a block for that we can use. So I have my blocks palette right here and collapsed. I'm just going to click it lock it open here. And if you go to your 2D blocks and then go to symbols, there is a block here called drawing title. And I'm just going to click open. There it is. And I'm just going to drag it into my drawing. Now I'm in paper space, right? I'm not in white model space, but I'm in paper space. So I'll just place that right there. And it's on the dimensions layer. And I think that's probably not the best layer for it. Why don't we put it on, let's see. You know, I'm going to put it on line weight medium here. Oh, here's a title. We'll put on title. Good. That's what I was looking for. All right, so we have, there it is, and we need to edit. There's attributes that are attached to this block. So I'm going to double click on it. And this attribute editor pops up, and the first thing it's asking me for is the scale. And again, we set our scale to 3/8 inch. So let's make this 3/8 of an inch equals 1 foot. The drawing name will be reception desk plan. And the drawing number will be on the drawing, it says 1, and then for the ISOs A and B, which is fine. I would call them 1, 2, 3, but we'll call it 1 here. Click OK. There's our. Now, the other thing I like to do, because again, I'm super anal about this stuff, is I love when my drawing titles all line up. So I'm gonna copy this down. And I've got my ortho on so that it comes down nice and straight. And I'm going to copy this one over across. And again, I have my ortho on so it's nice and straight. And I think that these are a little bit close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going into paper space now. And I think what I'm going to do is, well, you know what I might do here? Let me unlock this. And now I'm just going to pan. I don't want to change the scale, but I'm just going to, and actually that looks a lot better right there. You know, I just want to get a little bit of space, a little breathing room here, particularly if you have some dimensions here. I just want to get some breathing room between the actual detail and the call out or the title. So let me go back to paper space and lock my viewport up again. And while I'm here, I'm going to move this one up a little bit. I still have an ortho, so these are nicely lined up. All right, so let's look at this one. This is our front view ISO. So I'm double clicking on it, and I will just change this to front view isometric. The scale is 3/8, which is correct. The drawing number, we will call it drawing A. And that looks good. And now this one, and by the way, so when I double click on this block, depending on where I double click on it, watch. Now I'm going to click on the 1 here. I'm just going to double click on the 1. And you'll see that it's set my drawing number to 1. So if I only want to change that value, I'm going to change it to 2 here. I can do that really easily, you know, without scrolling through up on the attributes, because sometimes you have a lot of attributes on a block. So I'll double click again on it on this time on reception desk plan, and now the value for the drawing name, it came up as the default here. So I'm going to call this actually this should be rear view isometric. And I think that looks pretty great. So I want to add some dimensions here and here. And what I'd like you to do, just to make this a little more fun, I want you to add dimensions where you think they're important for the mill worker. You don't need to get every single dimension, but I'd like you to show what dimensions you think are important for this drawing. And the one thing that we don't want to do is repeat dimensions. So if I have up here on my plan, I have a dimension here for the back of the closet, and then I have the space between the closet and the desk, and then I have the overall depth of the desk and the overall width of the desk. I don't need to show those dimensions down here. They're not really relevant. It's just repeating. And the reason you don't do it is a lot of times you make changes to the design. And if I make changes here, I have to change those dimensions, and then I have to remember to make those same dimension changes over here. So try to find unique dimensions that are relevant to each of these that will convey to the contractor the design intent here. So let's see, a couple other things I want to do, and I'm going to go back into paper space, white model space, and I'll go back to annotate, and I'm going to put a leader in here, and I'm going to call this a wheelchair access here. So let me turn off my ortho. I'm just going to come up here, the leader, and I will call this all in caps, of course. And you know what? I put back here, I put that modesty panel. If you didn't put the modesty panel, don't worry about this, but I'm just gonna add another leader here and identify the modesty panel. So I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna kind of align so that everything lines up here. And I'll type modesty. Is that right? Looks weird. And well, that didn't line up, but let me see if I can't. I'm going to use the stretch command here. And I'm just going to eyeball it here and get that more or less there.
Hey, Paul, I have a question.
Yeah.
So you have A, front view isometric. Why wouldn't the rear view isometrics be B?
It would be B.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it wouldn't. It would be B, and thank you for catching me on that. I would have marked myself wrong for that one.
Okay.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you, I'm going to go back to black model space here, is what if sometimes you want to have text, like let's just say we want to put the company name on this back wall here, so you got the reception desk and he's sitting there, and then behind him is the company name, and maybe the designer, maybe that was the intent for this recess back here, is to put the company name in here. So let's do that. I'm going to go over to my isometric drafting button here, and I'm going to choose my isoplane right. So why right? Well, this is the left side, and this is the right side, and this is the top over here. So we're going to draw on here. So I'm going to click isoplane right here. And I've got my cursor now is on that isoplane right, and I'm going to add some text. So I'm still on my annotate here, and I'm going to go to single line text here, and I'm just going to put, okay, so single line text. I'm going to pick a start point, and I'm just picking a point here on the air here, and it's asking for the rotation angle, and it's saying 330 degrees. Let me put my ortho on. So I want to tell it I'm going to go this way, right, from left to right. And now it's gonna, I've got the cursor and I can put some text. So, you know, I don't know what, ABC company. Okay, so it's way big, right? And it's wonky, right? If I put it over here, turn off my ortho. If I put it over here or anywhere on here, it's not going to look realistic. It's not going to really fly. So what I want to do, I want to do a couple things. I want to change the height of this text so it fits in here. And I want to change the oblique angle of this text so that it looks like it should be, like, you know, attached to this, to this, you know, this panel, this wall here. So let me go over to my properties palette over here, and I'm just going to lock it in place there. And I'm done with the block, so I'm going to close that. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the style of this text. So when I click on the text, my properties palette changes here. And right now, the style of this text is the 316 style. Why is it that? Because that's what it was set to. It didn't matter. I could have been any one, but I am going to change this. And I'm going to just click on it, and I'm going to change it to standard down here. So it looks pretty much the same, but now I have, and wait, let me just go back. Oh, I guess I had 3/16. So there's a 3/16 text. And you'll notice that here, the model text height is grayed out. It's set to 1'6". That means that this text is, if you know, this text was attached to this wall and I put a ruler or scale or tape measure to it, it would be 1.5 feet high. And I can't change that. So what if I change the style to standard, then I will be able to change this model text height, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to go over to my style here, change it to standard. And now I can change the height of that text. So I don't know, I'll change it to 9 inches. Just, I don't know. It may change again, but that's what I'm setting it to. And now that's a better size, but it's still in that wonky view. So what I'm going to change is the obliquing angle. Right down here, 2 below the rotation down here is the obliquing angle. And I'm going to change that. You'll change it either to +30 or -30. But I'm gonna do 30, +30 here, and I'll just hit enter, and boop, there it is. You'll see it's changed, and it looks really great there. So now let's move this text, and I'm just gonna move it someplace on here, and it's still too big, right? So let's just click on it, and let's just play with it. So right now the text height is 9. What if we change it to 6? Well, maybe 7. I don't know. Maybe it'll go back to 6. So let me move it up a little bit so it's fitting within that space. I think 6 might be a little bit better. And I don't know. Do I want it in the middle? Do I want it right? I don't know. So I'll just put it there. And because this is right now, this is on the dimensions layer, because that's the layer that is current. But because this is part of the architecture of this part of the you know, part of the stuff, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna match properties and put it on there. So I'd like you to try that, to try to get some text on that someplace on here. So what if I wanted to put text on this wall? All right, so let's think about our isoplane. So this is the left wall, so we would do isoplane left. So I'll come down here and I'll choose isoplane left. And then I'll go over and do some text. And I'm just kind of repeating this just so you kind of have it in your brain here. And right now it's set to 3/16. What if I just went to standard here? And now pick a start point, and I'll pick a point down here. I don't want to be on here. I don't want to. And then it's asking for the rotation angle. So I'm just going to come down. I'll turn my ortho on and come down here. I'm doing my text from left to right. So this is direction. If I went up this way, you know what? I'll go up this way. It's gonna do the text in a kind of like reading up, I think. And I will call this, I'll just say text. And good Lord, where did it put it? You know what? I'm gonna do this the right way. I told you to change this to standard, but I don't think that is a smart thing. I don't know, because what it did is it put it someplace, and I'm not sure where. So again, I'm just gonna choose one of these. I'm gonna choose 1/8 inch here. I'll choose I need to edit that out. So as isoplane left, and then I will choose single line text, and I want my ortho on so I can tell it the direction I want it to go. There's my text. And now I want to I'll change the height of it so I have control over the height. So I can't change the height here, the model text height, because it's locked, because this style has locked that height. So I'm going to change this to standard. And then I'm going to change that obliquing angle to 30. Okay, so now this time, what it did was it put it like on the floor, right? So that's fine if I wanted the text up here or on the floor, but I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try -30 this time. There it is. So now it looks good. And I can change that height. That was 6 inches, so I'll change this to 6 inches too. Doesn't have to be, but. And then
So because it's an isometric, it's always in the 30-degree.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me turn my ortho off, and then, wherever I want to, this could say exit or something, but so there's how you put in text in isometric and also dimensions in isometric. So when we're doing dimensions, again, just a reminder, dim edit. And then when you have those options, either here, either oblique over here, or down here, oblique. Or you could type the letter O for oblique. You could do it either way. And then you choose the dimension you want to change. And then you choose that obliquing angle. So I'm going to change this so that they're going the other direction here. So I'm going to go from here to here. And I quickly changed it for me. So let me go back to my isometrics. I'll just get rid of that. I don't want to see that. And I've got my 2 isometrics. I've got my floor plan. This is a sheet that you could, we're not showing any details of exactly how this works. And, if there's an overhang or anything like that, we would do like a section through here. And when you get to like your details class, I don't know if you do that, but I hope that you all will be doing that kind of thing. But this certainly gives your mill worker a good idea of what your design intent is.
Paul, what if we want to change the font of the logo?
I don't know. So let's click on it. And I have it set to standard. What if I change it to city blueprint? Yeah, that'll work. Or, this is just attributes or annotative. But if you want to, All right, well, let's talk about that. I'm thinking. You want to change it to something that doesn't exist at all in here, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I mean, I did this for another class, but I don't think I did it the right way. So if there's a right way to do it, I would like to know.
You caught me off guard. And
All right, no problem.
there,
Maybe next week, maybe next week.
yeah, okay, next week. Yes, there is a way to do. You can change it to whatever you want, but you've just caught me off guard. So
Yeah. Oh.
I don't want to stumble. And but yeah, in fact, let me write it down. It's a great question. So, so that's your goal for next week, is to get this isometrics drawing done and make sure that all of your other sheets are done too. Your base building, your partition, furniture plan, your lighting plan, and your isometrics.